There are currently 1.3 million personnel in the United States military. Of those 1.3 million, many of them will at some point exit the military. The biggest question is how do they readjust to life in the civilian world? As of 2018, there are around 1,800,000 active duty servicemen and women in the United States Armed Forces. After the thousand that lose their life in action, the rest of these soldiers will at some point exit the military. I interviewed Ashley Williams, an Army veteran of 4 years who was stationed at Fort Lewis in Washington State, and asked her the differences between the civilian life and military life.
The diversity is different. Whenever you're stationed in different places, you're bound to meet people, a different race or different culture. Like it's a mix of people, but being in the civilian world, like for example, I'm here in Yulee, is the same type of people, country, older people here, and it's no type of diversity, so that's pretty different.
I also spoke with Dominica Thomas Hartsfield, a married couple from Charleston, South Carolina that has been out of the military for around 6 years. They spoke about the differences between civilian jobs and military jobs and how veterans are often looked at as indifferent from everyday civilians. Both are honorably discharged Navy veterans and spoke on how they were given 10-day transitioning classes before exiting.
So once you choose not to re-enlist, or if you're being kicked out, which we weren't kicked out, we were honorably discharged, but it's almost like the same process as someone who's getting kicked out. It's literally a 10-day transition and you're out and you're gone.
Thomas also spoke on differences in military and civilian jobs, and even on your off days, you have to abide by the rules of the military.
When you're in the military, there are no, you get the weekend off if you're not deployed or anything like that, but you don't have that time to really do what you want to do. You have to go by their rules, their guidelines. On weekends, you got the weekend off, but you can't go any further than the base than 150 miles. You can't go, you can't go all the way home if you wanted to.
Anthony Williams, FVSU News. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of people have felt the burden of being quarantined inside of their homes. That burden can be specifically felt on the medical coders who have to deal with the lack of speed or resources and the lack of knowledge on the coronavirus. The coronavirus has caused a significant shutdown within the state of Florida, especially in the Florida healthcare system. Here, I interviewed Tina Williams, a mother of two that works from home and does medical coding. She talks about the medical coding experience before coronavirus and during coronavirus pandemic.
There has been a substantial decrease in non-corona. In my medical coding, I do outpatient, so that consists of doctor's visits for physical exams, maybe a follow-up if you're a diabetic, pediatric visit for a baby physical. Those types of appointments have been decreased by roughly 90%.
Ms. Williams spoke on the rapid hit of the coronavirus and told us how a code was only developed for the disease within the last few weeks.
Medical code for the coronavirus literally just created maybe 3 weeks ago. It took effect April 1st, but because it's a new code, there are a whole bunch of changes. So this week they'll tell us to use the code, and then next week there'll be some kind of new criteria. The patient has to have a certain symptom in order to use that code.
I asked her about the treatment of patients who don't have coronavirus, who are often being turned away if they do not have life-threatening illnesses or injuries.
Yes, you can. There are no routine checkup appointments right now. If you need a physical, it's been canceled. They're not calling you. It's just understood. Don't come. If you do show up, they do have a screening process where they turn you away, and then you'll be called, and they'll let you know that you'll be called in the future to reschedule that appointment.
Even though there have been many deaths linked to the coronavirus, including confirmed cases reaching the millions in the United States, several states have talked about opening their businesses back up, including Georgia, Texas, and Florida. We only have to see if these reopenings will affect more cases and cause even more deaths. Anthony Williams, FVSU News.